Hi, I'm Gary Striegler, and I love doing trim projects. Also, I am old enough to remember these little pieces of trim once were a very, very popular detail for almost like a wainscot detail on the wall. You'd have this thing, a straight piece and a scoop like that, go down and scoop back in. But these were pretty common. Now, that would be about 40, maybe a little more than 40 years ago. Well, I had a friend who had some water damage. And as sometimes happened, the people who removed the trim to get the sheetrock off to dry it out weren't super careful. Like you can look right here, this one's like torn out. So they asked me if I could reproduce some of these pieces for them because they weren't half the way they got torn out. Well, so the first thing I'm going to say is, my dad was a big believer in saying I can do it before you know whether you can do it or not. So I just kind of said, I'm sure I can do it. I went back to the shop and I worked on a method to make it. And like here is actually the piece, if I can hold it up or not. But the key, the secret to the whole thing is, and I knew this when I looked at it immediately, is you don't have to have some kind of a router bit or knife that makes the whole profile. You can make the flat piece with a little cove cut right there and then add this round over as a second piece, and then when you put the two together, you're pretty much there. Now, the whole thing is about 3/4 of an inch thick. The first job was to determine what this radius was, so I just put a couple pieces together on a piece of MDF and kept just bringing it around. So you actually, there's actually, I guess a total of 4 radius you need before you're done. You need this radius, and the radius on either side of that round over piece. Now, I'm just going to real quickly show you, once I drew out the radius, I took a jigsaw and cut pretty close, and then this router bit's not set at the right depth, but then the router bearing rides on this little guide, and it'll flush trim, pretty close to that. I sanded a little bit. I'm pretty sure that you can find these probably at places like Woodcraft or Klingspor. CMT makes a bigger version, but these smaller ones are handy for a tight radius. I'm not sure that I could have gotten this tighter radius with the bigger one, which you may be able to see in the background. Anyway, I'm going to go a whole lot of detail, but I actually read an article one time where someone was taking a very thin piece of wood and a hot melt glue gun, and they were actually gluing down little pieces, and then they glued the thin strip of wood to those pieces and basically created the same thing as I got here. But hopefully you won't have any problem finding one of these to do that. All right, so now the key to this is, I don't have enough room for my router bearing to guide, but once I've got this template like this, I do. So I'm going to put this aside for the moment, and I've already flush trimmed this. As you can see, it's totally flush trimmed. The thing I got to say at this point, and I say this all the time, I've been using a router since I was 14 years old, a long time ago. There's lots of things, because I come from a carpentry background, that I do with a router that you might not be comfortable doing. So there's always another way. You could pretty easily set this up in a router table and just move the fence back so that you're just letting the router bit run on against the bearing of the router bit run against the pattern. Now, one thing you do need to be careful of if you're going to do that is you need to have some sort of a pin that you can rest and support your work against, and then you roll it over to where the bearing hits this. If you just try and push it over against it, could jump and be dangerous. So, and I'm sure there's people that have videos on that. Maybe I'll do a video on that at some point. All right. But for me, being handheld router guy, I found this bit, which it's an OG bit, but the first part of it is pretty close to the cove cut I need. Now, got to really pay attention. The cove cut goes on the outside part of this radius. So I'm just going to... Now this next part is this is only 3/4 of an inch thick, but the router base has a decent amount to rest on. Again, probably for most people other than me, you'd want to go ahead and put a flush trim bit in a router table to do this, but I'm going to try to do it right here. Hopefully I'm not going to make an exciting video that'll go viral. Again, this is just a 1/2 inch diameter 3-flute white side router bit, and I like the extra flute, and I definitely always want to use at least a 1/2 inch diameter bit. Okay, now the good news is, if you can see there, I can set it up like this. I don't have to worry about the bearing hitting the table. There's a great chance that some of this is going to tear out because I've got cross grain there and there, but I only need this much. But I wouldn't want to be holding this piece if that's all I had. So here goes. So if you watch me in my videos, you also know that I'm a huge fan of D-handle routers. I don't think I'd want to try this without a D-handle router because it gives me one-hand control, and it also has the trigger where I absolutely know when it's time to shut it off. Should be a little bit easier going around the outside. We'll see. Okay, so that piece flying off was definitely not what I wanted, but I'm going to just go ahead and at least demonstrate. I'm kind of surprised it flew off there, and if I needed to keep this piece, what I'd probably do at this point is go find that scrap, use a little CA glue, and try to glue it back on. And you know what I'd rather not do is glue it to the pattern, but at any rate, at least you saw, plus you saw what happens sometimes. Now, the last thing I've got to do, and again, I could take this to a router table, put, I think this is a 1/2 inch radius router bit, and that's, I'm not setting it full depth. That's going to give me basically a round over. I'll just take a second and do it. You may not be comfortable doing this, but you can do it on a router table. So, except for the fact that I've got a chip missing here, you can see I've got that round over. And by the way, I attached this with just some little Grex headless pins, probably 5/8 headless pins. And you know, that the key part's going to be super careful as I pop it off. It's kind of that fine line is making sure you've got enough headless pins to hold without breaking. And the other part is you're probably mentally prepared to have one or two break like I did. But I maybe just need to do a little bit of sanding to round that over, but then I can take this piece, put it right on here with a little bit of glue, headless pin it together, and I'm going to end up with this. So I'm going to try to get a knife from my Woodmaster to do this in one part. You know, Woodmaster's a great tool, but not everybody's got one. And you know, if I only needed to make one of these, I'd probably just do it like this. They want me to make quite a few because I'm not sure how many pieces got damaged. But at any rate, the thing I guess I want to share with everybody is when you look at a pattern, sometimes you can make that pattern in two pieces like I did. So kind of think outside the box. At any rate, it's kind of an old school trim detail, but I'm kind of an old school guy.